They believe crypto is a currency of AI. We spoke about earlier how soon enough all of us will have multiple agents, AI agents working for us. They're going to inform us, they're going to support us, they're going to make transactions on our behalf. Yeah. So worldwide, there will be explosion of financial transactions 24/7. The traditional banks, the SWIFT system, cannot support that. So crypto will play a bigger and bigger role in the age of AI.
But at the same time, we're going to digitize currencies very rapidly.
We know Bitcoin ETFs are the most successful product launch like in history. And then someone says, well, if you're going to collect that much money, Bitcoin goes to the moon. But it turns out Bitcoin's risen, but it's kind of churned. I think what happened is a couple things. One is a lot of these ETFs may have been receiving in-kind exchange. So people have their crypto keys, give it to the ETF provider, and then they just stepped up their basis. So that's not going to push up the price of Bitcoin. It adds to their AUM.
It's a wash.
Yes, it's a wash. And the second is that the ones who aren't involved in ETFs, but maybe they have $10 Bitcoin. We have clients that have bought Bitcoin at $100, and now it's 100,000. They're not looking to, they don't care if Bitcoin goes to a million. They are probably sellers at around 100,000. So we're churning the base now because 95% of the institutional world doesn't own Bitcoin, but a very significant portion of Bitcoin holders are sitting on huge gains. So I think this is the churn that's happening in Bitcoin now.
Tokenization is an innovation, and we at the SEC should be focused on how do we advance innovation in the marketplace. And so I would argue here over the last several years, the SEC has been standing athwart efforts to innovate in the marketplace because things have been unclear. The rules have not been clear. We've had regulation through enforcement. That day is over. We are now, my whole goal is to make things transparent, from the regulatory aspect and give people a firm foundation upon which to innovate and to come out with new products and so that they know what they're doing.
I think there are two things to think about, Andrew, and that's tokenization of U.S. stocks, which is one thing which could drive a lot of cost savings for all parties involved.
I'm not against tokenization. I'm saying
settlement times would be reduced.
I'm talking about if you wanted to tokenizing SpaceX, which is a private
company. And then there's also an access to private credit, I think you were mentioning, which is a complete individual investor access to private credit, which is also another sort of tricky area in that this is also, as you mentioned, it's not as much liquidity. Valuations are very difficult, particularly, I would imagine, for an individual investor. I mean, there are a lot of things here that are new frontiers for investors. Where do you stand on that?
Well, two questions. So as far as tokenization and other innovations in the marketplace to make trading and holding securities easier and with quick settlement, my predecessor pushed for what we call T+1, meaning settlement and clearance the day after the trade, the trading day. And so tokenization and other aspects of doing that tokenization in the marketplace is yet the next step to have much more efficiency in the marketplace and certainty of having a trade settle.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. Also, go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have Tom Lee on why Bitcoin hasn't made bigger moves. And yes, we have a lot of corporations buying Bitcoin. But then we also have BlackRock that'll sell 300 to 500 million at one time. It's not like we can't see it. And Tom Lee is not going to say BlackRock is selling that Bitcoin ETF. It's not going to happen. That's the reason why you have to do your own research. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Now we have Paul Atkins, the SEC chair, and of course, he's talking the narrative. Time to bring regulation. And war against crypto is over. And by having regulation, this sets up for tokenization of private corporations and public corporations. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you.
Did you get the banking license? What's the deal now? Well, we have a bank charter, but we're still waiting for our clearing account from the Fed. The Fed has been very opposed to all of this technology innovation that is starting to change, and there are now more than 40 applicants for a Fed clearing account waiting. And as you pointed out, others are coming. The stablecoin issuers are getting bank licenses and have declared an intention to apply for the same account that we applied for and have been waiting for more than 5 years, almost 5 years.
So while the administration might be pro-crypto, the Fed still is not.
Yes, the Fed has only granted 2 clearing accounts in the last decade to non-traditional banks, and ironically, or perhaps by design, each one had a former Fed vice chair for supervision associated with it.
So meanwhile, circle, the whole thing about stable coins. I mean, look, I'm glad for them that it's a hot IPO. I think it's still emblematic of the excitement that there is around crypto. But to see that excitement shifting to crypto as infrastructure, which Vlad Tenev talked about on Monday, kind of feels to me like crypto going mainstream, which is the next step towards it kind of becoming more boring.
Absolutely. And I love the idea that banks can be boring and bring this technology to customers. That's why Custodia is working with Vantage Bank. We issued the first bank-issued stablecoin back in March, working with Vantage, and completed transactions for a Mexican trucking company volleying U.S. dollars back and forth across the border in the span of about 3 minutes, something that would have taken days under the existing technology.
Do you think that as this all kind of shifts to the underpinnings and again, it is a better mousetrap for a lot of the ways that we've traditionally done cross-border payments and that kind of thing, but what does it mean for the future of Bitcoin itself? I'm very curious about this. It's still perceived by many digital gold. Everyone wants a piece of it, apparently public companies too, but do you think that the frenzy for holding Bitcoin will last as long as we've seen it last up until now that crypto is just becoming an infrastructure layer? Why persist with the kind of enthusiasm for Bitcoin when crypto is now so much more than that?
Yeah, great question, Kelly. I look at stablecoins as an on-ramp to Bitcoin because, especially in the developed world, we have a relatively stable banking system and relatively stable currencies. But Bitcoin, frankly, we wouldn't have as much enthusiasm for Bitcoin, wouldn't have had up until this point, if there weren't so much money printing and so much debasement of fiat currency around the world. In the developed world, of course, it's not been as much as in certain other countries. But frankly, the fact that Tether in particular was able to tap into emerging markets, really, I think they've recently said they've served 430 million active monthly users, a stunningly large number. And they're serving people who may make $1 or $2 a day in wages in places that don't even have access to electricity, for example. And so that's bringing a whole new demand for the U.S. dollar into the markets, and clearly President Trump and Secretary Bessent are embracing that.
What is 21 Capital's strategy once it is up and running in the stock market?
To buy as much Bitcoin as we possibly can. We've been successful with convertible bonds to date. That's a fixed income market we'll look to continue to tap. We're excited to have our stock actually listed on a stock exchange, and we'll have an ATM program as well. And then there's a vast array of other options that we're very excited about, and we have an operating company. I think one of the main differentiators between 21 and some of the other businesses is that we plan to build lots of cash flow within the industry itself. I mean, Tether and I come with a vast amount of operating experience. We've built big cash flows within this industry, I mean, Tether specifically. And so I think we're going to be buying Bitcoin with cash flow. I think we're going to use convertible bonds. I think we're going to use the ATM and some other instruments that effectively we're a capital allocator. Take dollars and plug them into an asset that is pristine, where capital can live safely.
And Bitcoin was a narrative in order to bring in this new digital economy. And Bitcoin has cycles, and that cycle is often fed with all that money printing. We can trace it all back. But that narrative was genius, evil genius, but it was genius. Because while everybody's talking about getting rid of the big banks and big corporations were funding Bitcoin and crypto from the beginning in order to bring in the machines for the fourth industrial revolution, where they can run this economy without a human involved. Machines now have money, and that's Bitcoin and crypto. And then we have stable coins being used globally due to all the inflation that the Fed caused. So the emerging markets already know how to use all this technology. America is behind, and it's on purpose. Remember, America is the last free nation. But we know with central bank policies, they can move the sheep in a direction. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Jack Mahler talking about taking fiat and buying real assets. And that sounds exactly how the Fed took over the globe. And remember, the crypto teacher told you.
What you're seeing there shows Microsoft, they're down about 0.5%. News came out this morning that they're laying off roughly 9,000 employees. Now, while that cut is less than 4% of its global workforce, you have to put it in context with the other cuts it's made over the course of the past year, including the 6,000 that was announced back in May. And then when you compare it to the other tech layoffs this year, it is the largest workforce reduction yet. Our Steve Kovac is here to discuss more on just what it means for one of the top 3 biggest companies in America and maybe the world at this point.
And I'll give you even more context here. So 15,000-ish so far layoffs this year at Microsoft. Wow. That's not even their biggest layoff. The biggest layoff was 18,000 back in 2014 or 15 when they basically got rid of the Nokia acquisition and let go all of those employees. So that was kind of a special thing. But it's approaching that level of and what Microsoft tells us is this isn't targeted at one specific group or one specific type of employee. It's not performance based. This is mostly targeting, or in a large part targeting, middle managers, something we've heard so much from the big tech companies over the last couple of years, making things more efficient and so forth. One thing not mentioned, at least so far, is artificial intelligence and the role that plays in there. Now, we've heard something like, people are going to be asked to use more technology and make themselves more efficient that way. But as far as artificial intelligence, I don't even think it's good enough to replace middle managers yet. But we have heard from Microsoft up to 30% of the code written at Microsoft is being written by artificial intelligence. And as far as some divisions we're hearing that are getting hit, gaming is a big one. There's a lot of chatter going on right now. Some big games and projects have been canceled. Xbox has not exactly been a huge growth story after they made that big Activision acquisition.
He's saying that non-farm payrolls declined by 33,000. That's substantially below, for the second month in a row, the estimate of 100,000. It is the only decline since March of 2023. Goods sector not doing too badly, up 32,000. The losses appear to come from the services sector. We'll show you details in a second, of minus 66,000. And there's the non-farm payroll estimate, which includes government and the private sector for tomorrow, Thursday, remember, folks, and that's 110,000. It's the second weak month in a row for ADP after downwardly revised 29,000 for May. But it's been running, by the way, substantially weaker than the BLS private sector numbers.
And the tech giant just made a rare change, putting AI much more front and center, pushing its AI mode tool in front of billions of users. Deirdre Bosa has more. And why? Hi, Deirdre.
Hey, Kelly. So AI mode, as you said, yes, it is right on the homepage. It looks like this. It changes what billions of people see when they open their browser, which is still the on-ramp for the entire internet. There it is right there. This has major ramifications for the AI race at large and for the ecosystem that search has powered for over 2 decades. So look what happens when you actually use that AI mode and ask, say, about the Altman-Zuckerberg fight. You don't get a list of news articles. Instead, you get a summary, a Gemini-generated answer. And that matters because search has been a distribution engine for not just publishers, but retailers, advertisers. AI mode, it cuts right through that and replaces the link economy with something murkier. It also opens up opportunities for companies that can come in and take advantage of that shift, like Cloudflare, which this week started blocking AI scrapers by default. So if chatbots, if they want to access content on websites, they will need permission, and eventually they'll have to pay. This is a way for publishers to fight back against AI disruption.
Now we have Microsoft laying off another 9,000 people. Microsoft, a $3.6 trillion company. Yes, guys, you heard that correct. And you can go over in Europe and you're not going to find a market cap over $400 billion. And that's ridiculous. But we have companies 2, 3, and close to $4 trillion. You can't make this stuff up. And how did they get that big? That's right, the sheep. The sheep stay quiet. And these layoffs are going to keep coming. And the stock is going to keep going up because the machines are about to take over and increase productivity. They don't need a lunch break. They don't need vacation. They work 24/7 and they don't talk back. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have ADP comes in negative once again. And it's only going to get worse. And layoffs will pick up in 2026. And guys, don't forget, in 2024, in the Patreon, I posted all the layoffs that was scheduled for the end of 2025. And don't forget, those who got laid off are still getting benefits, and eventually they're going to be put off because they enter into that year. When it comes to unemployment benefits, they normally do 6 months and they extend it out another 6 months. After that, you got to have a special reason in order to extend it again. But the people that are being laid off, these are the good jobs. Microsoft, these are the good jobs. This is not fast food. They're going to save those for later. They already have the technology that can replace these repetitive jobs overnight. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Google AI mode on the front page of the browser. Search turns into summary. Same as Grok, same as Facebook. And instead of you doing the research and coming up with your own summary, it's doing it for you, but it's going to pull from the same exact resources. It's not going to try to go out and find the truth. And of course, these AI models are not forgetting everything. They're saving every single thing you're putting in there. So therefore, they know you better than you know yourself. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. We will, and if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and you know, when the dealers have to step in to save a Treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books, It's Time to Re-Educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tanya save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tanya save New York from COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tanya goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.